Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Irving Arts Center's Lunch and Learn. My name is Marcy Inman. I am Director of Exhibitions and Educational Programs here at Irving Arts Center. I'd like to extend an especially warm welcome to those of you visiting the Arts Center for the very first time on this very chilly day, and or attending a Lunch and Learn session for the first time. We hope you come back. Our guest speaker today is acclaimed textile artist Marilyn Henrion, who will discuss her work currently on exhibit here at the Irving Arts Center in Marilyn Henrion, 93 at 93, Selected Works, Part 2, in our Carpenter Lobby Gallery up through February 28th. Part 1 opened at the Eisman Performing Arts Center in Richardson earlier in the fall, in October. The exhibition here, Part 2, is a culmination of this two-part retrospective celebrating Marilyn's 93rd year and highlighting the extraordinary breadth of her creative journey from geometric abstraction to digitally manipulated photographs, capturing nearly a century of vision, experimentation, and mastery. A lifelong New Yorker, Marilyn Henrion moved to Texas in 2022. Do I have that year right?
Yeah.
Okay, 2022. Welcome. Okay. And is now based in the DFW area. Her award-winning works are included in museum, corporate, and private collections worldwide and have been exhibited throughout the U.S. and abroad. Her aesthetic vision has always been deeply rooted in the urban geometry of her surroundings, from her earlier textile-based geometric abstractions to the more recent mixed media work. Music, poetry, and the natural world also inform the content of her work. We are recording today's presentation, and Marilyn's talk will be available to view on the Irving Arts Center's YouTube channel in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As always, there is time allotted for Q&A and remarks. Please raise your hand to speak, and a microphone will be passed to you. This microphone is necessary so we can capture the audio of all your comments and questions on the recording. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Marilyn Henrion.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you being here. At 93, you forget things. So I've got 2 quotes that I'm going to read. It's the only time I'll quote things today. One is, "The human brain starts working the moment you are born and never stops until you stand up to speak in public." And the second is, "The best way to sound like you know what you're talking about is to know what you're talking about." And so I'm going to start with just a little experience that I've had. People always ask me, what is the most exciting or interesting thing that you've ever experienced in all your 93 years? And there have been many, and you'll see a little film that I made which will show you some of them. But one of the most interesting to me was in 1993. I was invited to Russia to show my work and participate in the International Textile Symposium. And it was supposed to be from people all over Europe, all over the world, actually. And so 2 weeks before the event was supposed to take place, they were burning down the parliament in Moscow. All hell was breaking loose. And my kid said to me, "You're not going." I said, "I am going." And they bought a ticket for my husband, so he should accompany me, so I shouldn't be in mortal danger. And so I did end up going, and it was the most incredible experience ever. It turned out that I was the only international person who attended. And for that, they rolled out the red carpet for me. I went to people's homes, to their studios, to their doctors. I spoke to the Soviet Union artists group, and that was interesting in itself. These were artists who had been subsidized all of their lives by the Soviet Union. They had their studios paid for, their supplies paid for, generous commissions, so they were like royalty in the community. And so they were facing a free market economy. And I talked to them about what it's like to be an artist in a free market economy. And, you know, they were shocked at some of the things that we're facing as artists. But they were soon to be faced with that, because they were just at the period of transition. So I got to know many of them. Some of them even relocated to the States after that. And I curated an exhibition of eight quilt artists, actually, 2 years later for them at the museum. But that was one of the most interesting experiences. Many, many more in all the years. I've been practicing for over 50 years now. So you'll see some of them. I will answer all your questions and talk about more after the film. There are catalogs. I do a catalog for each series that I do, and I publish a catalog, so they're on the table here. And I also send out a monthly newsletter, studio updates, so if you're interested in participating in that, just sign up in the book there. I'd be happy to send you my monthly studio updates. Okay, so shall we begin?
Sure.
How do I start? Do I have to turn something on? Marcy? Thank you. Marcy has been the most incredible curator you can imagine. I've had experiences before in having my work curated, and this has been a really, really professional experience. So thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
But she has a little trouble starting the film.
There we go.
Here, between the hither
Can you hear?
and the shore, while time is withdrawn, consider the future and the past with an equal mind. That passage from T.S. Eliot's 4 quartets was embroidered on the first quilt I made in 1975. Those words reflected the meditative process of the hand needlework and the accompanying experience of being suspended in time, and foretold the connection with poetry and metaphor in my work. It also marked the beginning of my lifelong pursuit of employing traditional textile forms and needlework techniques of the past and combining them with my own contemporary sensibilities. There were earlier clues, so let's go back to the beginnings. I was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1932, where even as a child, crayons and coloring books were more important to me than dolls. And a child's book of verses was one of my favorites on my weekly visits to the library with my father as a preschooler. My grandfather, who made his way from Eastern Europe to America as a 12-year-old yeshiva boy in the late 19th century, became a tailor in New York and taught my mother to sew. She, in turn, taught me the skills with which I now create my art. In high school, where I majored in art, lunchtimes and class breaks were often spent in the library, copying my favorite poems into a series of notebooks that I kept for that purpose. I attended college at Cooper Union, where I studied fine art and graphic design. My medium was originally painting. Shortly after graduation in 1952, at the ripe age of 20, I married classmate Ed Henrion. And before my 22nd birthday, I already had 2 children, with 2 more shortly thereafter. So I was unable to pursue my own creative work for many years while raising 4 children and working full-time to help support the family. Even though I wasn't making art during the 50s and 60s, I was still very much involved with the New York art and literary scene during that time. My husband and I attended the 8th Street Artists Club, where the abstract expressionists like de Kooning, Motherwell, Franz Klein, and all held sway. Tom Wesselden used to babysit for us. We spent many a Sunday afternoon with friend Joseph Cornell in his home on Utopia Parkway in Queens. His mother would bake apple pie for us while we chatted in the backyard. He enjoyed being with our children, and each time he would lend us several of his boxes to take home on a rotating basis. We always had 2 or 3 boxes, which my husband would bring to his art classes at Erasmus High School to share with his students. Cornell really liked that. We held salons at our Greenwich Village apartment where the beat poets of the day, like Bob Nichols, Howard Hart, Philip Lamantia, Ray Bremser, and others, would read their work, and occasionally composer Jackson McLough would perform his latest piece. During that period, I also performed in Klaus Oldenburg's happenings and at the Judson Poets Theater on Washington Square, playing the lead role in Apollinaire's The Breasts of Tiresias in their first production. By 1975, though still working, we built a second home in the country, and I had more time, space, and energy. And when I returned to making art after a 23-year hiatus, it was the medium of textiles that spoke to me in a way that paint never did. I had always admired Amish quilts as powerful visual expressions using minimal elements of geometric abstraction and strong color. For the first 13 years, I copied traditional quilts, happy being one of a long line of anonymous women, creating a legacy of my hands for future generations. The presence of the human hand has always been integral to my work. By the mid-'80s, I realized that I could enrich that legacy by creating my own designs, which reflected my own thoughts, feelings, and responses to the world around me. Art quilts replaced the bed quilts. After 30 years of my 9-to-5 work life, I was about to retire from my job as an associate professor and career counselor at FIT. This quilt, 167 and counting, was created in anticipation of the joyous life of color to come, breaking free from the routine grit of 9 to 5. In 1989, at the age of 57, I was ready to share my work with the world. I entered 2 works in an exhibition at the YMCA Craft Gallery in New York, and to my surprise, I won first and second prize. This told me that there was an audience for my work beyond the family. Echoes in the Garden was one of these. It references a poem by T.S. Eliot. Footfalls echo in the memory, down the passage which we did not take, towards the door we never opened, into the rose garden. My words echo thus in my mind. But to what purpose, disturbing the dust on a bowl of rose leaves, I do not know. After retirement in 1989, my next 10 years was spent in the quilt world, creating new works, participating in group exhibitions, teaching and lecturing. The images in this slideshow reflect only a small number. They reflect my thoughts, feelings, and responses to the world around me, as expressed in visual metaphors. Although almost all of my works resonate with passages in literature, only a few of these references are included here. Although during this period I created individual works, not necessarily related to each other, there were some in which the formal elements formed a kind of series. such as this in which striped fabrics are used. I've always been fascinated by the intertwinings of past, present, and future. One event that stirred my imagination in 1992 was the discovery of the Iceman in an alpine glacier, the body of a Stone Age man preserved for over 5,000 years. This work, entitled An Immense Journey, symbolizes the brief moment in the sun that each of us inherits, and also marks that immense journey in time traveled by the Iceman. The title is taken from the book, The Immense Journey, by Lauren Isley, the anthropologist and poet, in which he writes, "Through how many dimensions and how many media will life have to pass? Down how many roads among the stars must man propel himself in search of the final secret? The journey is difficult, immense, at times impossible, yet that will not deter some of us from attempting it. We cannot know all that has happened in the past, or the reason for all of these events, any more than we can say with surety what lies ahead. We have joined the caravan, you might say, at a certain point. We will travel as far as we can, but we cannot in one lifetime see all that we would like to see or learn all that we hunger to know." In 1999, when I was accepted as a member of the NoHo Gallery in New York, I realized that my focus had to change. With a solo exhibition scheduled approximately every 2 years, I needed to create a new cohesive body of work for each. Intensive studio time was required, without the distractions of other activities. So I gave up teaching and lecturing and have devoted full time to the studio ever since. The Byzantium series was one of many inspired by my travels. Variations on the theme of the arch are employed as they flirt with the ambiguities of 2- and 3-dimensional space. Inspired by Byzantine architecture, the arch is also symbolic of passageways as we exited one millennium and entered another. As Tennyson writes in Ulysses, "I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch where through gleams that untraveled world." This series, created in response to the terrorist acts of September 11th, 2001, is entitled Fragments. These works represent a continuation of the Inner Space series begun earlier. In this case, they were created in response to an artist residency I was granted at Cape Cornwall in England. From a cottage at the very westernmost tip of England, on the cliffs above the wild Atlantic Ocean, they express my internal experience of peace and meditation, generated by uninterrupted solitude in a place seemingly removed from time. There was an oval mirror in the main room of the cottage. Approaching my 75th birthday, I was ready for a new challenge. It had to consist of obsessive handwork, which I love. I also wanted to continue working with geometric abstraction, but to soften the hard edges of piecing and to have a more tactile surface texture. Enter needle punching. While the needle-punched works were very satisfying, the size limitation was a bit restrictive. I found that similar effects could be achieved on a larger scale with hooking, while still providing me with the obsessive handwork that I love. Using this technique, I created a series entitled Noise. In these works, noise is celebrated as a metaphor for life. From the presence of vast interstellar matter that fills the universe to the activity of billions of quantum particles contained in every cell of our bodies. Noise of thunder, noise of ocean waves, noise of a baby's cry, noise of a symphony, noise of a lover's voice, noise in the spaces between words, noise of our breathing. All reasons to wake up in the morning. Although my images up to now had been abstract, I've always used my camera to capture images that inspired me. Now that technology has provided opportunities to combine these images with textile-based work, I started exploring this connection. One never knows where the next spark of inspiration might come from. I was captivated by the haunting faces of the marble portrait sculptures from ancient Rome at New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art. The striving for immortality has been present in civilizations throughout the ages, from cave dwellers to the present. In this quest, we have often turned to art to preserve something of ourselves and our values when we're no longer here to speak. Extracting faces from photos I took of the marble portraits, as well as detailed photos of sarcophagi and statues from the same period, I printed them on silk and created textile collages, animating the surfaces with trapunto and hand quilting. Using similar mixed media techniques in the Soft City series, I created images derived from my Soho neighborhood in New York City. Once Gotham's hard, unyielding surfaces are peeled back, the beautiful and complex patina of each facade is illuminated, hinting at the mysteries of past lives contained therein. Once again, combining digital photo manipulation and hand quilting, the Complexity series focuses this time on the natural world. These silk bas-reliefs were created in modules to provide flexibility in composition, size, and color arrangements for site-specific installations. In 2012, I was selected as one of 5 American artists to to participate in the 14th International Triennial of Tapestry at the Central Museum of Textiles in Łódź, Poland. I created Disturbances 10 for this exhibition, which will be held in 2013. Space Beirut was a work commissioned in 2012 for a private collector in Beirut, Lebanon. Inscribed on the back is a quotation from the French writer Albert Camus. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. From Renaissance painting to cinema and cyberspace, the window has always been perceived as a mediator between spaces. The window is a visual bridge between inside and outside. Though transparent, it may serve as a barrier or a link between the viewer and the world. While in Poland in 2013, my mind kept being drawn to events that had occurred there during World War II and the Holocaust. As I walked through the streets of Łódź, Krakow, Warsaw, and Auschwitz, I could not help thinking about what was happening then, both inside and outside those windows. The metaphorical implications were many. With the same focus, I continued adding to the series with images of New York and other U.S. cities. The works are all composed of my digitally manipulated photographs, which are printed on silk or cotton and hand-quilted, then gallery wrapped on stretched canvas. There are approximately 35 works in this series. The Patchwork City series captures the energy and vitality of the ever-changing urban landscape of New York City. These linen collages are composed of having my digitally manipulated photographs printed on linen, which I then cut apart in random strips to create collages on stretched canvas. With the exception of 3 works, there's no stitching in these works. These are 2 of the exceptions in which there is stitching. In these, a hand-quilted silk work is mounted on canvas and placed atop the linen collage, creating a double canvas. After working on the collage series, I realized how much I missed the hand stitching as part of the creative process. In this next series, all but 3 are hand-quilted. In my visit to New Orleans in 2017, I found a vibrant city which had survived the harshest devastation of nature in the form of Hurricane Katrina, and not only survived, but audaciously so, with all the color and sassiness imaginable. To quote Tennessee Williams, America has only 3 cities, New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans. Every place else is Cleveland. In these works, the concentric circles of the quilting stitches, which I have also used in other contexts, symbolize the echo of ripples of water that are left in memory only. There are 26 works in this series. These are the linen collages with no stitching. As a lifelong New Yorker, my work has always been deeply rooted in the urban geometry of my surroundings. Travel to distant places has also served as inspiration. I'm particularly interested in the coexistence of past and present, especially in architecture and other man-made structures. The presence of the human hand upon the landscape expresses our eternal yearning for immortality, evidence that says, I was once here. Much as Edward Hopper did in the 20th century, I tried to synthesize and transform the facts of the material world to reflect my experience of a particular place. In this series, there are 29 works, all hand-quilted, some on silk, some on cotton. Mannahatta, the title of this latest series, begun this year and currently in progress, is based on the original Native American name for Manhattan Island. The works focus on architectural structures dating from various time periods that can all be seen today simultaneously, testifying to the rich visual heritage of my hometown and also returning to a central theme in my work, the intertwining and coexistence of past and present. In these works, the concentric circles of the quilting design serves as a metaphor for the millions of us who have passed through these streets over the centuries and the ephemeral nature of our existence on this earth.
Floating bridges. Inspired by my travels in England and Ireland, this series returns to a recurring theme in my work, that of the intersections of past and present, and of man's eternal quest for immortality in the architecture and man-made structures he leaves behind that say, I was once here. It resonates with the poem by Federico Garcia Lorca. Every step we take on earth takes us to a new world. Every single footstep lands on a floating bridge. I know there is no such thing as a straight road, only a vast labyrinth of intricate crossroads. Our steps incessantly create, as we go, immense spirals of unfolding pathways. New digs. In 2022, at the age of 90, I relocated to Plano, Texas to spend time near family. While the subject matter of my work had heretofore primarily focused on urban geometry, my new surroundings inspired me to include images where nature and man-made structures interact, as well as those that focus on the natural world itself in all its glory. And now that my traveling days are over, the comforts of home provide another rich source of visual inspiration. This series is entitled Innuendos. Although all of the images that I create from my original photographs are digitally manipulated by me before I commit them to a work, I'm often conflicted about how much abstraction I want to employ. A fascination with the detail in the subject lies with the personal, emotional component conveyed in the abstraction. This conflict resonates with the poem by Wallace Stevens, from which the title of this series is derived. I do not know which to prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos, the blackbird whistling or just after. Chromatic geometry. As I turned 93, I returned to my original exploration of geometric abstraction. Employing the same process as I had been using, it starts with my photographs, which are digitally manipulated, printed on fabric, and hand-quilted. This time, though, the manipulation takes it a step further until all ties with the original subject matter are gone, inviting deeper reflection on the intricate interplay of color, form, and texture. Hand-quilting, coupled with the digitally manipulated photography, offers a contemporary aesthetic experience while honoring traditional fine craftsmanship. Having come back full circle to my beginnings with the chromatic geometry series, and now that I'm no longer able to travel, I began to review the thousands of photographs I had taken over the years. I found many images just as inspiring as those that had become artworks, just waiting to be created. I'm now in the process of doing just that, adding to existing series that had begun earlier, and where they do not quite fit, became part of a new series entitled Flashbacks. Flashbacks includes images that haunt the memory long after the photo was taken. Subjects range from the mundane to the mysterious, inspired by singular moments in life's timeline. All have the power to evoke the emotions that accompany the original experience. You're still awake? Okay, it's been a long trip. And I felt the only way to do it was to condense it in this way. Even though it seems long, it really covers a lot of territory. So now, any questions so far?
How long does it take you to create,
Okay.
say, a 36 by 42 or smaller image?
Yeah, that's always a question that comes. I don't count the hours. It's a meditative process, and the world could be falling apart around me, and I would not know it. There's a funny story attached to it. When I was a child, I hated to sew, and that is because my mother taught me to sew. My mother grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. They were very poor. They had to walk up 6 flights with the water and everything to make ice. So she had to leave school in the 6th grade and work in a garment factory to help support the family. There were many children. And so for her, speed was the essence. It was really important because the faster she sewed, the more money she made. So when she taught me to sew, it was speed. I hated speed, and so I hated to sew. And it wasn't really until I started using this in my work that I realized that it can be a very meditative, slow process, and that is what I love about it. It's a totally different experience. But it started from the time we had to make our graduation dress in elementary school. We had to sew it by hand, could not use a machine. Different times. Yeah. So as far as how long it takes me, I really don't count the hours. I don't time it. It would be maybe kind of depressing to know that I'm making only 50 cents an hour. But I love it. I love the meditative process.
Hello. Do you work in different pieces at the same time?
No.
You finish one and then you start a new
Yes.
one? Perfect. Thank you.
I may print some, the works that I'm doing now are started from my photographs, so I have them printed on fabric. So I may print a number of them at one time, but I only work on one at a time. And even when I print, I may print, let's say, 6 pieces I send out to the printer. I may end up only doing one as a piece, because somehow when they come back from the printer, the scale, the color, something does not quite work. So I discard a lot of pieces that I have printed, and I maybe work on 1 out of every 8 pieces gets done. And I still have over 400 pieces in the storage room. Yeah.
How do you get an image that size printed onto
There's a company
fabric?
called Spoonflower, and I send the high-resolution images to them, tell them what fabric I want, and they print it for me. I've been using them for many years. It's very good. Any other question? Yeah.
I noticed a pattern in a lot of your work here at the gallery and in some of your earliest works as well, and I want to get your point of view on them. What is your relationship to concentric circles, and why is that pattern so prominent in your work?
It's not in every one of my works, but it often has a symbolic meaning. For instance, in the Manhattan series, it's in all of them concentric circles, and it symbolizes the fleeting nature of our presence on this landscape. We're here for a moment and then we're gone. The image remains, the landscape remains, but we're gone. So in another case, actually the concentric circles was used in the New Orleans series. And in that series, it was symbolic of the floods that were there. And the puddles, the concentric circles were the puddles that were there and then gone. So it has different meanings. I create the quilting design on the back usually, and it may relate to the image on the front, or it may serve as a counterpoint. If there are lots of circular imagery, I might use straight lines, or vice versa, or sometimes I'll work with the design. I brought a piece here that I'm currently working on to show you. This is what I work on, a small little lap frame. And this piece is 40 by 30, but I work each section at a time, and then I move it on the frame. And one, two. I'll just walk around with it so you can see closer, and then you can see the back.
May I take it for you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Men are good for something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Yes.
So I think this answers my question, which is how you put your work together, which is you've got the printed piece on the front, you put your batting in, and then you put a piece of, imagine, cotton, some type of
Yeah,
cotton
I
fabric
use
on
a
the
very
back.
lightweight muslin because it's hand quilted, and the heavier the fabrics are, the harder it is to quilt. So I
Yes.
used lightweight muslin. Yes.
Here.
I was wondering how long it took you to develop that intricate technique that you use, because everything is so symmetrical and exact, and to do hand work like that, it must have taken you a while to develop that.
It's a practice.
Practice.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
And obsessive compulsive doesn't hurt.
But it's so consistent.
And the other thing is your eye does a lot of that. It's not perfect.
Well, it looks pretty perfect to me.
The Amish used to build in a mistake in all of their quilts because only God is perfect. And so they would build in a wrong color in a place or a different piece of a design that didn't match.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
I have one thing to add. You are amazing.
Thank you. Well, it's important for me to share what I do, to share my life. One of the most extraordinary things in my life was I taught quilt making at a homeless shelter for women in New York City. And they absolutely loved it. These were women who had nothing in their lives. I got companies to donate fabrics, and they weren't allowed to use sharp objects, so I bought, scissors that weren't sharp, but they had to cut fabrics. And they covered their beds in this shelter with the quilts that they made. And one of them said to me, "It's like praying." It was as extraordinary experience it was for them, it was for me as well, sharing that. And so sharing is really an important part of what I do. I sell my works, and that's nice. It doesn't pay for all of my expenses for doing this, but it brings in some money. But that's not the point of doing it. I would do it anyway, even if I didn't sell them. And it's just sharing it, like in a day like this, is important for me.
That's why you're amazing.
Hi, Marilyn.
Yeah.
I love your film. I mean, I love you, and I love your artwork and just your way of seeing the world. How I want to share you with the world. I think that movie needs to be seen by so many people. How can we share it? Where is it?
Well, actually, that started with something I did myself on the Mac computer on a thing called iMovie. And I did that originally. The first part of it, you can see where it's split from the first part. First part of it I had done myself. And then someone introduced me to a filmmaker who was interested in working with me. And so he polished it up for this product. And what he wanted to do is a full-length documentary about my life and my work. And I might do a Kickstarter project in the future to raise money for that, because that takes some money. But if you hear from me about a Kickstarter project, it'll be that.
And one more question. What's your dream for all this artwork that you
It's a good question. I am hoping one day that a museum will take the whole. My work is in museum collections, about 6 or 7 museums here and abroad, but the whole collection is over 400 at this point. And so I would like a museum to have it. I'd be willing to donate it. I'd be willing to, make all kinds of concessions that would make it worth their while. It's not easy to get the work, even in museums that I'm in, like the Newark Museum has the largest collection. I think they have 8 of my works, the Newark Museum in New Jersey. And other museums have several. But the whole collection's a big collection. It's not easy to get a museum to commit to that kind of, they don't have to take 400, but, a substantial amount of works could be theirs, I'm trying to figure out a way to approach the museums at this point. If you have any connections, or that would be nice to hear. I'm hoping that this kind of show and the show at Eisman will be a stepping stone toward that. And if Irving is interested, I will definitely donate work for Irving. So.
They should build you a museum.
What's that?
They should build a museum.
Listen, I have enough trouble getting my kids to talk to me, not just build museums. Give you an example. I have worked with only 2 of them speak to me at this point, and one of them had a fight with me last night, and he would not take me here this morning. I had to take an Uber. So that's so much for family. You know?
Right.
You know?
Right.
You're on your own.
Have any of these skills and artistic abilities passed on to your children?
Well, actually, one of my daughters who lives in Richardson was a corporate executive for her whole life. When she retired at age 60, she started going to UTD for art classes. Did you know that they have free classes at UTD for seniors? So she started taking classes about 3 or 4 years ago. She's now a sculptor, and she's doing the most amazing stuff.
See that?
It's hard
in the
to
genes.
believe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you have to use some kind of magnifying? Your eyesight must still be incredibly good. I'm sorry. Your eyesight must be very good still.
Well, my eyes are still good. My fingers still work. They have arthritis, but I don't pay attention. Just ignore it. I've got plans for each step of losing things. So my plan is, if I lose the fingers, I can read more. If I lose the eyesight, I can also read my audiobooks more. If I lose the stitching ability, I can do collage. So there's always another step that one can take. Yeah.
You have a question?
Go ahead.
Whenever I create pieces to wear, whether it's for cosplay or just for the sake of fashion, I like to watch something that inspires me. So I'll watch like Project Runway or RuPaul's Drag Race as I'm stitching and working. What type of activities do you do while you're working and creating?
Well, I hate to admit this, but I'm a political junkie. I watch the news a lot. But the other things I watch are documentaries mainly. There's a wonderful series on Netflix called Craft in America. If you haven't seen it, absolutely watch it. It is amazing, and there are many pieces in the series. So it goes every craft, and they're so well done, and they have wonderful artists that they focus on. It's really an incredible series.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please raise your hand before you ask a question or comment?
Thank you, Quentin. I was just going to say, let's keep the conversation going. You have some great comments and great questions. Please speak into this microphone so we can get you on the recording. I just wanted to say, Marilyn, you have a piece in the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, don't you? Yeah.
Several.
Yeah, so that's an incredible place in Nebraska.
Yeah.
But there's also a Texas Quilt Museum.
Yes, I've had I had a solo exhibit when I moved down here. The first year I moved down here, I had a solo exhibit there.
Okay, fantastic.
The thing about, it's interesting, thing about quilts is that as all craft, it's always been a second subservient to art, fine art. More and more that has changed, and now that mixed media has become a big thing for everybody, it's really kind of evened things out much more than it had been in the past. One of the reasons I started mounting and framing my works is because I sell to art collectors. And art collectors are used to seeing things framed and hanging on the wall, not a piece of schmata, piece of fabric on the wall. They're used to seeing something that they're familiar with, like a painting. It's framed, it's flat, it's on a wall. And so I started doing that. It's, no skin off my back to present them in a different way. And they do accept them more readily in that form.
Yeah, it's a beautiful presentation. And I think the line between craft and fine art has really blurred over the last couple of decades. Yeah. And what's been considered traditionally as women's work has been elevated and now is more honored. And it's an important component for a lot of mixed media artists.
Yeah, so the reason I mention that is because you mentioned the quilt museums. I'm in the National Quilt Museum, I'm in the International Quilt Museum. But it's the fine art museums that, I'm also in and that I strive for, because that's where they should be in addition to the quilt museums. They are fine art. I consider them fine art. And now the public is more and more considering it fine art.
Right, absolutely.
It's a wonderful hobby for a lot of people, and that's wonderful because it's a wonderful activity. Any art making, any making is wonderful. So I'm not demeaning that as a hobby, but it's confusing to the public to distinguish between hobby and, fine art. And it just confuses it even more when you separate it.
Yeah.
I liked your comment how you started out as more of a traditional quilter and then went into the art quilting. And about 25 years ago, when you'd go to the international quilting exhibits in Houston and New York, you started to see that transition. And you're a great role model to where that transition is going and will continue to go.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, lady with the stripes.
Hi there. I just would like to see if you have any comments about the hiatus. I think it's great in life how we can sometimes put things down and revisit them at a later time. I was just curious if you had any comments about the break that you took of time in between your work.
Well, creativity isn't just making art. One can live a creative life without touching a pencil or paint or anything, so it's how you live your life. I mean, a creative life doesn't have to be making art. It's just doing things in a creative way, using your imagination. So I think that's a skill that we're born with, and I think it's encouraged in some families. It's not encouraged in other families. Sometimes you have to find it yourself, but my mother was against my going to art school because she, what are you going to do with that? So, yeah.
The words, the phrases that stood out to me that I related to the most, you said were uninterrupted solitude, busy hands, circles, and meditative. And I wonder, to me, all those things kind of go together. So one question is, how important is the meditative aspect of what you do to you? And then the other one is, how much uninterrupted solitude do you think you could take? Because I feel like I could take as much as I could get.
Me too. Me too. And it's not that I don't like being around people. Right. I do. I enjoy. Everybody's got a story. It's so amazing when you talk to people and you ask them about their lives, and they have amazing stories. Everybody, really. I really enjoy that very much, but I also enjoy solitude very much. It's a push-pull,
Yeah.
But I do spend a lot of time alone. I do. It used to be, when I say in the movie and other things, that it's a legacy I'm leaving, a part of myself. You know, when I'm gone, these will speak for me after I'm gone. And in the old days, it used to be that your kids were serving that purpose. But your kids no longer agree with you. You don't have the same values necessarily. So you can't rely on your kids to serve as your legacy. You have to make your legacy.
Right.
You know? And in a sense, that's what I'm doing. As I say, only 2 of my kids speak to me at this point, maybe only 1. You know? For whatever reason. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about your grandchildren? What is your relationship with them? Do any of them speak with you, or do none of them?
Could you speak louder, please?
Okay, can you hear me now? I can talk louder. Okay. I was going to ask you about your grandchildren. What kind of a relationship do you have with them? Do you have any of this, they don't speak to me with them?
One doesn't speak to me. 2 speak to me. 1 passed away, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, Jimena, you asked about the film, the video we just watched. You can access it on YouTube. It's Marilyn Henrion at 93, The Evolution of a Fiber Artist, right? Or textile artist, yeah. So you can find it, just Google it. But yeah, and just share the link with people.
Yeah. There are actually, I made a number of YouTube videos, not just about me, but sometimes when I finish a series, I'll do a video about that series. So that if you go to YouTube and just enter my name, you'll see a whole bunch of videos that I've done. Yeah.
Quick question. Do you recall who the pianist is?
What's that?
Do you recall who the pianist is in your video?
One of my daughters.
Is that right? Excellent.
Who doesn't speak to me?
Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask about like the endurance with the new technologies, how you learn about now. I mean, the AI is going out into the internet and bringing in do you use Photoshop or?
I use them. I don't take classes, but I use them. I just pick around like Photoshop. I use it, but I use it for what I need. You know, I figure out what I need, and I get what I need from it. I'm sure that it does a lot more than I get out of it, or that I even know about. But I get what I need out of it. That's
Did you
it.
start as an illustrator?
No. No, you know, keeping learning, like my daughter did at 65 when she retired from the corporate life, went to school, became an artist. I mean, it's never too late to do stuff like that, really. To me, that's amazing. But it's, yeah, reinventing yourself, always possible.
So you first studied graphic design and painting, or?
Yeah, graphic design, fine art. At Cooper Union, it was kind of mixed together. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Another question. It's incredible that we are able to house so much of your work here at the Irving Arts Center. I'm curious, what do you think about our facility here, about the Irving Arts Center, and about Irving?
It's absolutely fabulous. And Marcy has made it that way, because I can't imagine anybody being able to do what she has done here. I really mean that. It's an amazing place. I wish it was nearer to me. I seriously started looking when I just moved to a new apartment. Everyone thinks I'm crazy at 93, starting over in a new apartment, but I just needed to do it, and I'm very happy that I did it. But it's not close enough to Irving, and I did look at Irving. That was and because of Irving Arts Center. Anyone else? Thank you again for letting me share.